Good morning. Welcome back. Today we are focused on using our blocks. So for today's class, you do need 2 yoga blocks to get started. And so grab those and meet me on your mat. We are going to start by sitting on one of our blocks. So the goal of today's class is to show you how you can utilize them in class. Even if the instructor doesn't offer that modification, you're always welcome to add props to your practice. It's your practice. So I want to offer you just some different poses and how you can utilize a block. So we'll use that throughout our class today. So sitting on a block, it allows the hips to be higher than the knees, which actually helps to create more space and ease through those hips. So the hips are not going to grip as much. So I really encourage people to sit a little bit higher when they're in that first seated position. So find that comfortable seat. You can close your eyes and gaze softly toward the floor. Take a big breath in. Exhale it out. Oh, let those shoulders sink away from the ears. Gently engage the core, so pulling the belly button back toward the spine just a little bit. And we'll just start to take a few deep, slow breaths. Getting yourself ready for your practice, tapping into that rhythmic breath, taking us out of our kind of go, go, go phase and into that rest and rejuvenate space, that parasympathetic nervous system. So taking just a few breaths. Deep and slow. One breath flowing into the next. You can hear that noise. That was the cats playing with the ball. There will always be distractions when you're trying to step into your yoga practice. So that is part of it. It's acknowledging when there are distractions, focusing on the breath. We'll take one more deep, full breath in. Exhale it out. Good. Let's go ahead and come off of our blocks. And we're going to come to tabletop position. So do some cat cows. This just starts to open up the spine. So I'm sinking down. And then as I exhale, I'm curling up, tucking my chin. And reversing. Exhaling, curling up, pressing my hands into the floor. So I'm stretching through those shoulder blades. Inhaling, chest sinks, belly sinks, tailbone lifts, chin lifts. So just moving a few times with your breath. So trying to link the movement and the breath. Rolling through the spine. One more. Good. And then we're going to grab those blocks, place them on your mat. I'm going to place my hands on the blocks, and then I'm going to shift back into a child's pose. So this is just an option to get a little deeper into your child's pose. It's going to create a little bit more intensity into those shoulders. So this is a modification if maybe you're needing something a little bit deeper. Maybe your head finds the floor, maybe it doesn't. Just breathing deeply into those shoulders. If your head typically doesn't find the floor, you're also welcome to just take a block for the forehead and hands find the floor. We're breathing deeply into the back side of our body. So opening up the back side of the body. Take a few more breaths here. Elbows are lifted. This is Izzy. One more breath. And then we'll go ahead and come up. We're gonna go ahead and just move our blocks forward, and we're gonna take a down dog. So placing the hands on the floor, tuck the toes, shift the hips up and back behind. Go ahead and just pedal the feet. Nod your head, shake your head. And we're just taking that first down dog. So it's really just about moving and opening and feeling into that pose. Gaze should be toward your feet or toward your knees so that the head can be heavy. And then go ahead and find stillness in your down dog. Keep that left foot planted. Lift your right leg. Bend the knee, swing the knee through for pigeon. So my right knee goes toward my right wrist. And then I'm going to take a block and prop it underneath that right hip for my pigeon. It's going to allow me to focus a little bit more on the nuances of this pose. So my hips don't have to go all the way down, that I'm still feeling supported, especially early in a practice. My body isn't always ready to fully sit into pigeon right away. So using a block underneath the bent leg hip is a really nice option to keep the pelvis even, to maybe lift through, breathe into it, maybe adjusting this leg and seeing how that feels. So take a few breaths here. Maybe you reach back and try to take a quad stretch. Find that breath. Maybe you release. Maybe you fold down. Again, maybe use that second block for your forehead. But breathing into that pigeon, letting the props and support you. The blocks are there to support you. We'll go ahead and come up. We're going to tuck the back toes, transition through that down dog, move our block. Again, go ahead and pedal the feet. So feeling into that down dog. So I'm just bending one knee and then the other. I like to come up to the tops of my toes, like balls on my feet, shift my hips up toward the sky. You can drop your heels down. And then we'll plant that right foot, left leg lifts, bend the knee, swing the left knee through for pigeon on the opposite side. Again, grabbing a block, placing it under the hip of the bent leg. And then find your pigeon, explore it a little bit. So maybe starting by lifting up, maybe you press into that front thigh to lift up. That's going to open up this a little bit more deeply. Or maybe you take the quad stretch. Breathing into it. It doesn't need to be as deep as possible. Just find that space where you're like, oh, I'm starting to get a stretch here, and hang out there. Breathe into it. Introducing that stretch to the body. And then maybe you release that. Maybe you play with moving this bottom leg up just a little bit. See how that feels. Having that block to support your leg. Maybe you could roll down and place your forehead on a block. And remember, the block has multiple settings. So you have the lowest setting, but you also have a medium setting and a high setting. So you have a lot of versatility with these blocks. So find and settle in for a few breaths. The pigeon pose on the left that feels good in your body today. And it's okay if it looks different than the one on the right side. We have two sides, but they're often very different, and that's normal. So breathing into that. We'll stay here one more breath. And then let's go ahead and come up. I'm going to tuck the back toes, lift the hips, transition through that down dog, moving those props, and go ahead and just pedal the feet. Good. And then we're going to go ahead and just walk our feet up to the top of the mat. Take that forward fold, bend in the knees, nod your head yes, shake your head no. Give the shoulders a little shimmy. Hands come to thighs, come halfway up, and then all the way up. Sweep the arms. Hands to heart center. Good. Now we're going to use our blocks for some standing lunge work. So grab your blocks, place them on the highest setting at the top of your mat. And we're going to inhale those arms up. Exhale into a forward fold, hands find blocks. Inhale halfway up. Exhale into that forward fold. Hang out in your forward fold for a moment. Little bend in the knees is just fine. So we're using these to help support our upper body so that our body's just not hanging in space. That's not great for our joints. We'd like to support them. And again, you're welcome to take your blocks a little lower if you have a little more flexibility. Deep breath. Good. Now we're going to go ahead and step our right leg back for our high lunge. So high lunge, right leg steps back. My blocks are on either side of my left leg. And we're just going to sink the hips down. So what I love about the blocks in this position is it allows my heart to reach forward. So rather than feeling like I'm super hunched down, I can lift my chest and keep my spine nice and long. High lunge. We're going to bend the back knee and step back up to our forward fold. And then all the way up to standing, hands to heart center. And we'll switch sides. So inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. Find your blocks. Halfway up. Exhale, fold. Step your left leg back this time. High lunge. Sink deeply into those hips. So my blocks are on either side of my front foot. Sinking deeply, my front knee and ankle are stacked. And again, my heart can lift forward, my shoulders can soften. Breathing deeply. And then go ahead and bend that back knee. Step up to forward fold and inhale all the way up. Hands to heart center. Good. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. Halfway up and fold. Go ahead and take that right foot back again. High lunge. And go ahead and drop the back knee, low lunge. Sink deeply into those hips. And again, I'm allowing my spine to be nice and long by using these blocks. Deep breath. Good. Go ahead and press up. We're going to take our block to our thigh for a twist. I'm going to inhale my right arm up. My elbow is going to come to that block, hands to prayer. So typically for this, we'll bring elbow to thigh. That's not always accessible or easily accessible. So place a block on your thigh, lift your arm up, elbow then comes to that block, hands come to prayer. Gazing up, taking the twist. Deep breath. Unwind, hands come back to those blocks. Tuck the back toes, high lunge, step up, forward fold. Inhale all the way up. Hands to heart center. And let's switch sides. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. Halfway up and fold. Left leg steps back this time. High lunge, and then drop the knee for low lunge. Come on up. Take your block to the top of the thigh. So it's right on top of my thigh. Left arm lifts. Left elbow comes to that block. Hands come into prayer. Take the twist. Deep breath. And unwind. Hands come back to those blocks. High lunge. Step up, forward fold. Inhale all the way up. Hands to heart center. Good. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, fold. Halfway up and fold. Step your right leg back. High lunge. Grab one of your blocks. Press all the way up to standing. So I'm going to inhale both my arms up, holding onto that block. Got the block. It's like this. I'm lifting up, opening my heart. Beautiful. And then go ahead and release. Step up, forward fold. Inhale all the way up. Hands to heart center. Switching sides. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. Halfway up and fold. Left leg steps back this time. Take one of my blocks. I'm holding onto it like this. I'm just inhaling it up. Gazing up. Little gentle squeeze into that block to hold it there. And go ahead and release. Step up, forward fold, all the way up to standing. Hands to heart center. Good. Inhale, lift. Exhale, fold. Halfway up and fold. Grab one of your blocks. place it between your thighs, so above the knees. We're in that little forward fold, hands can come to shins. Start to bend the knees, inhale the arms up, chair pose. I'm just gonna turn so you can see me. So what I've done for chair pose is I've taken the block and I've placed it between my thighs. This is a couple of things. One, it's gonna activate my inner thigh muscles. Two, it's gonna make sure that my ankles and my knees are in a better alignment. Because now, without that block, my knees can kind of waver a little bit more. With a block, my ankles are gonna try to stay right underneath those knees. Nice and strong in chair, hands come to heart center. Beautiful. Inhale all the way up. Hands to heart center. Good. I'm gonna go ahead and release that block, come all the way down to the floor. We're gonna come all the way down to our bellies. Sorry, my mat moved a little. Come all the way down to your belly. We're gonna have one block about an arm's length out in front of you. Leave that one there. We're gonna start with hands underneath shoulders just for a couple of cobras. So tops of the feet find the floor, pelvis presses into the floor. Inhale, lift. Exhale, release. Inhale, lift, squeeze those shoulder blades together. Exhale, release. And now my hands are not a huge part of this. They're helping a little, but I'm not pushing with my arms. It's actually back work. So we're not coming up very high. That's back muscles kicking in. Take one more. Good. Go ahead and stack your forearms. Place your forehead on your forearms and then just start to lift the legs. So we'll just do lower body. So inhale up, exhale down. Inhale up, exhale down. Let's do a couple more. Inhale and exhale. Let's do one more. And exhale. So then the other option would be to grab onto that block in front of you. Gaze is down, so we don't want to lift the chin too much. We want to keep the back of the neck long. We're going to lift arms and legs. So we'll inhale, lift, exhale, down. Inhale, lift, exhale, down. Inhale, lift, and down. Let's do two more. Last one. Beautiful. Go ahead and release. We're going to press our hands underneath our shoulders. Take that child's pose again. And again, choose your child's pose. Maybe hands are on blocks this time. Or maybe your forehead is on a block and arms are just on the floor. Elbows lifted. I still want that nice stretch to the shoulders. Beautiful. We'll take one more breath here. Good. Go ahead and come on up. Come to a seated position. Boat pose. So for boat pose, you're going to start to find that place where you can begin to balance. Maybe heels are on the ground, maybe toes, maybe you lift. So from here, grab a block. So this is a great way to utilize a block in your core work. So you can do a couple of things. I'm just going to turn so you can see me sideways. So you find your boat, have your block. You can lift block over as you extend and come in. Take it back a little further and in. Try a couple with me. So inhale. Exhale. Another option would be to take it into a rotation. So tapping that block down and up, down and up. This gets into the side core. A couple of those. Beautiful. Whew, makes my core, it's on fire. And toes can be on the ground, legs can be lifted. Find your boat. And then just hold. And go ahead and release. Come all the way to your back. Grab both blocks though. We're going to bring bottoms of the feet together. Take the legs out wide and place a block underneath each leg, just to give it a little bit of support. So without it, the thighs kind of hang out in space. So give a little bit of support. Arms can come out to the side. You're welcome to also take them up high if you'd like a little more openness to the chest. Take a breath here. Again, anytime you're in this kind of reclined restorative position, placing a block underneath the knees or the thighs is a great way to allow your body to sink into it. One more breath. And then we'll go ahead and release. Come on up. If you know me or have ever been to my class, you know that I love supported fish. And for that, you need 2 blocks. So we'll end class with that. So you have baby bear, mama bear, papa bear. So mama bear goes underneath your chest. I'm sorry, baby bear goes underneath your chest. Mama bear goes underneath your head. And so what you're going to do is you're going to lie back on the block. And this baby bear block is going to come all the way up to your armpit. And then mama bear is just in the back of the head. Nice neutral position for the spine. Arms out to the side, and they can be as high or as low as feels comfortable to you. The more in line with the shoulder or past the shoulder, the deeper the stretches for the pecs. So find what feels good for you. Legs can be bent, legs can be straight, whatever feels good for you. And we'll just hang out here for a few breaths. So I love this pose because it opens up everything from the diaphragm and ribs to the pec muscles. It allows the back of the neck to be nice and long. So just take a few breaths here. And so the shoulders are not supported by the block. So that's what gives gravity the opportunity to open up the pec muscles in the shoulders. This is the pose I love and I tell everyone about. If you work at a computer, if you have pain between your shoulder blades, this is the pose that's going to help allow those muscles to soften and relax. We'll take one more breath here. And then bend the knees. Slowly come up. Again, we're going to sit on a block. So grab a block, sit on top. Simple cross-legged position otherwise. Take a breath in, exhale it out. Notice how your body feels after today's class. Thank you all so much for coming. I hope you learned something about using blocks. If you have any questions, please drop it in the comments. I'm happy to help. And I will see you all next week. Namaste.